This time on Kawaii-Fi Radio, Aaron shrinks.
My 13-year-old son is my height.
What, 6 inch?
I'm not 6 foot. I'm
I'm
hi everybody, I'm a tiny man.
Tifa triggers some flags.
So who's your boy from Jujutsu Kaisen?
Sukuna.
Of course it is.
Yeah, they have red flags. That's my boy.
And the printer interrupts an important conversation. The magic of technology, just unplug it and it will die.
Oh, like my grandma.
No! Oh, that's horrible. That's going in the preview.
Ava launch! Tetsuo! Kaneda!
Oni-chan?
It's over 9,000! Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Konnichiwa and welcome. You're tuned into Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast we dive into the world of anime and manga. I'm Kyle, and with me we've got Aaron, Kiralee, and Tifa. And it's the first show of 2023.
Yeah, how are you going with writing dates on things and correcting the 2 into a 3?
All the time. All
Yes,
the time.
yeah.
How's everyone doing? Yeah.
Better now that we've had coffee.
Yeah. If you want to hear about that whole adventure, there's the pre-show, and that's hilarious.
Yeah, sign up to the Patreon so you can buy us more coffee.
Yeah, it's just $1 a month, and you get then an extra episode every fortnight. It's pretty good. Well, I say an extra episode. It's never on topic. Like it's talking trash for like.
Although
half
we
an
have
hour.
like a small bonus episode to that this week that is on topic.
Well, it's about 4 minutes talking about Avatar too, but we'll get into that.
Like the quickest thing on Avatar that's ever happened.
Hot take, it's bad. Don't do it. So it's the first show of 2023, and that means we're doing something a bit different because we didn't have an awards show last year because we realized it's a lot of effort and we were all very busy. So we're instead going to do a year in review as part of this episode, and it's the winter anime season preview as well. So strap yourself in. It's going to be a long one, but it'll be a good one.
As we head towards the red line.
The red line. I don't know. We doing like Tokyo Drift now? Is that what's going on? Like,
Well, you made it sound like we were racing, so I thought Red Line's the best anime to sort of go with.
Oh, I was thinking like strapped in like a straight jacket.
Oh. Yeah, you'll need that by the end.
That's a different anime.
Yeah. Okay, let's season in review time.
Why do we watch that?
Definitely in my top 5.
Yeah.
Season in review.
Yeah, in review. I don't know where the sting went, so I think we're just going to stick with that and just have me scream yeah over it.
Sure.
We'll do this every year.
Yeah, every year.
God.
Okay, let's go through this because it was a pretty big year last year for anime.
Yeah.
There was a lot of big ones. There were some misses, but overall, it wasn't bad. Like, I think we were discussing this in the pre-show. I don't think anyone really had too many shows that they started and then stopped and dropped
Yeah.
And rolled.
and then caught on fire.
No. You catch on fire first, and then you do those things. Because if you do those things and then you catch fire, there's probably something wrong. Sorry if we just triggered any dogs in the background.
All right, so look, each of us has compiled a list of 5 anime from the past year that we enjoyed, along with a movie, or if not a movie, a 6th show. So, Aaron,
Yes.
we will get you to kick us off, because I believe your first one was Love After World Domination.
Yes. Oh man, it was adorable. Like, if you enjoyed the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers growing up, but like if Rita was a cute teenage girl who had like this side affair with the Red Power Ranger, that's the entire show.
That's it.
It's so sweet because you get to see her sort of come to realize how she's never been a normal teenage girl.
No.
So she sort of learns how to through the Red Power Ranger, and it's really sweet.
It is very cute.
It's incredibly cute.
Yeah.
It's also on Kenny's list.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kenny, my man.
So we've already got one with 2 votes automatically, which is pretty impressive. I think that it was a great show. It was just so heartwarming.
It
I didn't
was.
finish it. I've got 2 episodes left because I don't want it to end.
That is entirely valid, my guy.
Yeah. You also like Tiger and Bunny.
Yes.
Season 2.
Yes. It was so good seeing that come to like completion and like just the build up of it all and like the continuation and how they put everybody together in cute little pairs and then like the ending was so perfect for it. Like I don't want to say anything, but like you feel satisfied watching the ending. You're like, yeah, that's everything.
Feels like it's done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Neat little bow and everything.
Aw.
Kira-Lee, did you end up watching season 2?
I started watching it, but then I got distracted by everything else.
Yeah.
My daughter really liked it.
Oh, did
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, that's really nice. Because yeah, it's pretty family friendly as a series as well. So
Well, I mean, one of the characters is literally a family man.
yeah. Okay. I'm going to come back to your third one in a moment, but Futo PI.
Futo PI, yes.
What was the go with this again? I feel
so
like it was related
it's-
to another series.
Yes, Kamen Rider Double.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Oh.
It's basically the anime version of that. And because I've always kind of been interested about Kamen Rider, but I've never had a gateway to get into it. And this coming out was the perfect sort of gateway because I watched it and I was like, oh, I get what it's like, what the Kamen Rider is about now.
Yeah.
And this itself is quite an enjoyable anime as well. So yeah.
So this is like a story like two guys who mighty morph together into one hero.
So, two guys, one's consciousness dips into the other when they transform, and then his body just sort of.
Oh.
Okay.
So he like just like passes out.
Yeah. So one of them determines like one aspect of the hero, and the other determines the other aspect. So it'll be like ranged or melee or sword.
So it's
or
like
something like
it's
that.
like Ino in like Naruto,
Yes.
where she transfers her consciousness into something else, and her
Except-
body goes limp.
Yeah.
they share the body
Ah.
instead
yeah.
of one consciousness being shoved out.
Yeah.
So when Ino and Sakura share Sakura's body
Yeah,
when
and
Ino goes in there
Sakura's-
because she's got that whole
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, that's
Did you notice how that disappeared after that?
Yes.
Well, I
I
don't know
miss
if you.
her in a voice.
Well, she did also then do when Ino took control of Choji when he was stunned. Choji was in the background and she was able to talk to him, his consciousness, while she was fighting in Choji's body.
I meant more like we never saw Ina Sakura again.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing. No.
That was like the best thing Sakura had going.
I know.
I remember in the original Naruto ninja fighting games,
Yeah.
you could summon Ina Sakura to like punch down.
Oh yeah.
So sick.
It was great. It was so good. Now there's a big one here which we'll come to, but Joe.
Oh my goodness.
Stone Ocean.
So like towards the end it really started getting wild, like, and then the ending itself, I could not have seen that coming, but it explains what happens in the future JoJo's as well.
Yeah.
So there's like a big JoJo's for like the first 5-6 parts, very linear.
Yeah.
It goes from like Jonathan Joestar to Joseph to Jotaro to Josuke to Giorno to Jolene.
Yeah.
And you understand
The progression.
Yep.
and- yep.
and then it goes to, is it
Is the next the Cannonball
Josuke
Run
again?
one?
Or is it Johnny? I think it's Josuke.
Josuke.
Yeah. And so like I was confused because I was like, this isn't Josuke. This is a completely different Josuke.
Yeah.
What's going on here? But the ending of Stone Ocean explains.
How it gets there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because after part 6, it's kind of different timeline, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this explains exactly how that happens.
Okay.
I've almost finished part 1. No, sorry. Season 1, so almost finished part 2.
Okay.
Okay.
That means you're about to get to the best part.
Yeah,
Yes, I know.
yeah.
Because like once Harmon's done and you get to stands, just mwah.
Yeah, no, it's good. All right. This is probably one of the big ones for the year. Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
Oh my god, yes.
And this is on my list, and I believe it might also be on someone else's list as well.
I knew it'd be on other people's lists, but I just had to say it because I watched it and it was so good it got me straight into the game.
I know.
The soundtrack, the characters, the world building, the everything.
Rebecca is officially Studio Trigger's new best girl. So
Yeah.
like, everyone, I know Lucy was meant to be the one, but Lucy was boring.
Lucy
Rebecca
so
was
bland.
awesome, and I mean, it made it even more fun actually getting to chat to Alex Cazares and
Oh man, I'm so jealous you got to do that.
And we're going to have her hopefully at HoshiCon on
Physically?
remote. No,
Oh.
no. Because she's actually going to be at another convention that weekend. So we're doing some remote interviews
I
with...
was
Wow.
gonna say,
Voice
like,
actors.
if she's physically there, I kind of want to 3D print her shotgun and get her to sign it.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Right. Although, if we know her personally, maybe we could like arrange a little.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
could...
like
I
send
can-
something through.
Yeah. Hey, baby girl, what's up? But like, with Rebecca, like before when I saw all the memes talking about how great she was, I was like, I don't know, it's a lolly character. Oh, no,
it's
thank
like,
you.
It's like, but she isn't. She's,
She's
like
not. She's-
26, I
She
think
just
it
has an
was.
extremely petite frame.
Yeah. And, we know people like that. So, yeah.
Hi, Tifa.
Hi. I'm short if you don't know.
And I'm unnaturally tall. Actually, no, I'm apparently average height now because of
How
all
tall
the...
are you?
I'm 6'3". And
Oh.
apparently because there's all these kids coming through who are like 6'6".
Yeah.
I'm just like, wait, so I'm
Yeah.
now an average... Oh, okay.
My
that's weird.
13-year-old son is my height.
So he's just, what, 6 now? 6 inch?
I'm not
Six
6
inch,
foot.
6 foot, 6 foot, 6
I'm
foot.
like-
No.
Yes, me and my son were both 6 inches long. Hi, everybody. I'm a tiny man. I'm actually standing on the desk holding the microphone with one hand for dear life.
Yes, that's definitely what we're laughing about. Cyberpunk Edgerunners. We will come back to movies because there's only really 2 movies that we've had this year that we've really loved. I'm going to read through Kenny's because Kenny couldn't be here. He's got some family stuff going on, but he has sent through his list and he says, y'all are cowards for not voting for your boy Kongming.
Isn't it
No, apparently
pronounced
that's really
Kyome?
good, actually.
It was incredible. Sorry.
Yeah.
Isn't it pronounced Kyome?
The depends. So the English translation for it is "ya boy Kongming."
Oh, I thought that was
And-
just how it was written.
No. So that's how it's written in the English one, but the Japanese one uses English and it's "ya boy Kome."
Okay.
So because it's meant to be
Interesting.
like trendy.
Yeah, so cool.
So because in Chinese he's Kome, but in English the English translation of the name was Kongming because they misread it originally,
Oh,
and that's the play there. So Kenny's first one was Love After World Domination as well.
Heck yeah.
Your boy Kongming. Now, for those who didn't see it, this is Kome from the 12 Kingdoms period, 3 Kingdoms period. He was a tactician in China during the warring states that they had over there. And I know Japan's got warring states, so did China. That was the 3 Kingdoms period. And he dies, and then he's reincarnated in like Akihabara. No, not Akihabara. What's the big nightclub district?
Shibuya?
Shibuya.
Or Shinjuku.
Shinjuku or Shibuya. He wakes up in one of those.
I think it's Shinjuku
in-
because
Yeah, it's
Shibuya's
Shin-
more anime merch.
Shibuya
Okay.
is more like shopping district.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Shinjuku
Oh yeah,
is like
Akihabara's anime
yeah,
merch.
Shinjuku is like bars and stuff. But it's also business.
It was
too,
Shinjuku
yeah.
because it was the Halloween. So he thought he'd gone to hell, and he wakes up during the Halloween street
Oh,
party that they
goodness.
have there.
Halloween's in Shibuya.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So-
Cool. There
Okay.
we go.
Look,
Sorry,
we're going
we
back.
just overcomplicated
Look, it's
ourselves.
somewhere in Japan.
It's been a
Shibuya,
while
only
since we've
Shibuya.
watched this. So yeah. So he wakes up there and he believes he's in hell. So he then goes out like some other dude's like, "Hey, it's Kome, it's Kongming. This is awesome. That's the best outfit
God.
I've seen all night." And he's
Oh my
like,
God.
the guy's got a skull on his head and he's like, "Well, these must be ghouls, so I'll just go with it. Whatever. I'm in hell. This is what I deserve, blah, blah, blah." And they take him to a nightclub. And then there's a girl on stage who's singing and he's like, just like, "You're an angel. Why are you in hell?" sort of thing. Because he hasn't quite clicked. And then over the course of the episode, he comes to learn that, no, he has been reincarnated in the future with his young body. And he now wants to become, because he loved music and was an artist as well as being a military tactician, he now uses his military tactics for the music industry to try and get these people he likes famous. And it's
Interesting.
so much fun because he has no idea about the recent world. And also, like, he gets a job at a nightclub as a bartender, which is the same place the girl he met was at, because the owner of the club is obsessed with the 3 Kingdoms period. And he's just like, I constantly ask him, and he's like, "You know so much about this." He's like, "Well, I did live through it." And he's like, "Oh, you're so funny." But really, seriously, what happened? So you're kind of not sure if the club owner actually does believe him, or if he's just like loves the fact that he has someone to talk to about it. But yeah, it's pretty damn good, and it's a lot of fun. Next on Kenny's list was Dress Up Darling, which I believe is also on Emma's list and Tifa's as well. So, Tifa, I'll let you talk about Dress Up Darling because I loved it as well, but it just missed my shortlist by one.
Oh, it's just good.
It's just so good.
It's good, especially if you like cosplay and things like that. I think the original author of My Dress Up Darling went into a lot of detail and did a lot of research to try and figure it out. And it's a really good series because it takes what is supposedly feminine, which is, you know, sewing and fashion and things like that, and gives those elements to a man and shows like how this guy is kind of like bullied and scared to like talk to anyone about this because of his childhood and being bullied as a kid. But then he grows up and kind of realizes, oh, that's not really actually how the world is anymore. I'm not actually going to get bullied for liking these things. And then they take characteristics that we usually see in anime for masculine male characters and such, of like, you know, just being like obsessive over a particular anime or being like really into video games and stuff like that, and they give it to the female character who is just obsessed with aero games and things like that. And so basically they like kind of cross over what is in Japan as well, like something they would traditionally like kind of see for a man or traditionally kind of see for a woman, and they mix it over because the world isn't like that. Everybody likes what they like, and then it's kind of more about acceptance. And in the cosplay world, a lot of people dress up because they want to be something different. So yeah, it's really nice. And Kira Lee, you really enjoyed it as well, didn't you?
I really enjoyed it a lot.
It was a lot of fun. I did really enjoy it. I was like, it was cute. I also been reading the manga as well. The moment I saw it listed, I was like, wow, that looks really fun. And started reading it. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next parts to be animated as well. I think it'll be really good.
Yeah. Now the last one on it's two more on Kenny's list. Spy X Family. Was part 1 and part 2 this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were discussing this earlier. So part 2, while good, wasn't as good as part 1 because it felt like the narrative kind of lagged a bit with the side stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, they basically just, I know some people will really enjoy the fact that they basically just did the manga word for word, story for story. But I think the pacing becomes a lot slower because they really try to flesh out each little story instead of just making it a smaller aspect in a bigger story. So,
like, I mean, I think one of the things I was most impressed of, and you were as well, Aaron, when you saw it, was that how they adapted the scene where they went to the castle.
yeah, that was really well done.
Because that was meant to be quite short in the manga, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Whereas they made a whole episode out of it.
Yeah,
and
because
it was,
it's so early on. I think that's why they did it as well, and why it makes it so good is it gives you the dynamic of the family a lot more. So having done that in the anime just shows us so much more about each person, what they're like, what they do, and stuff like that, because it's just so early on in the story. When you read the manga, you forget about it and you just keep reading, right? But they got to actually introduce this family together and why they work as a family as well, and you got to kind of like them a little more. So yeah.
No, they did a really good job with it, and I mean, like, I do agree. Like, the second half was not as like, for the first half, every episode I wanted to keep watching, but for the second half, I was kind of a bit like, it worked. A few of us have chose Spy X Family. I think we've got 3 of us have said Spy X Family is on their list as well, which is good, like, you know. And
It's just an easy watching one.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And Kenny's last one was Bocchi the Rock, which I'm also on, is one of my 5 because, oh my god, it was so good. It's basically like K-On! Meets Komi Can't Communicate is the way Kenny described it to me, and I 100% agree. Because Bocchi's got social anxiety, she's, you know, not used to having friends. So it's very in line with that series, but it's just also incredibly heartwarming. Like, did anyone else end up watching it? Or
Yeah,
you did.
I watched it.
Oh, okay, so only 3 of us watched it. Yeah, it mightn't be everyone's cup of tea because it is a music anime, but it doesn't overstay the music welcome.
Yeah, I agree. And I
Right.
think the way that they do the music is really well done. The way they integrate it isn't like out of place or anything
No,
like that
it
as well.
fits.
So yeah.
Though I was surprised that the final sort of show, like literally the show starts off, the episode starts off straight into their first song, and it's not out of place either, and it's quite well done, and the music's actually good as well. It's not like lame.
So when do we get the Bocchi Kyome crossover?
Oh man, can you imagine? That'd be amazing. I'd actually be. I would so your boy Bocchi,
Your Boichi.
your boy Chico, mate. We're inventing new shows, Japan. Listen, do it. Make these things happen. There have been some interesting crossovers in the past few years. So like just like art style wise and all that. Oh, was the did we have the two Music Girls series this year, like the musical Healers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
like, please don't like hurt me, my healer, and then
And the
the
Healer Girl.
healer girl. I mean, they weren't amazing, but they weren't bad either. Like they definitely had a certain demographic they were aiming for, which was good. Cool, right. I've talked enough. I need to give someone else some time to talk because I have to fill in for me and Kenny and Emma. So, Kiralee,
You're up.
you're up.
Dun, dun, dun.
Romantic Killer.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this one so much because it's how to. It's just very out of the ordinary sort of a thing.
Because both you and Tifa were watching it, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's really good.
it's just so good. She's
Yeah.
just
Because this is like a commentary on like the love life, or well, like what's assumed of love lives.
yeah,
sort of.
well, her lack of, because she's just too into gaming and all of that, and then it's like you can't game until you get a boyfriend.
Oh,
So I'm
that's
gonna
not
take
fair.
away
Yes.
chocolate and your snacks. And
Which starts off
Aw.
with the game that she's like ordered, but it's not actually the game that she wanted. That comes in the post, and she puts it in, and she's like, yeah, whatever. Like keeps skipping forward
Yeah,
as
like,
you
this
do,
is trash.
but didn't actually like read anything. And then this like little wizard thing comes out of the TV, and is just like, so you're playing this game in like real life now, and she's like, yeah, that's what she's like, and basically it's kind of a commentary on how like they state in the very beginning as well, like how Japan's birth rate is declining, so they start getting gamers to do this game in real life in order to fix this. But it's like it's a really great commentary on just like life in general and
Yeah.
romances in high school and things like that, but also the title Romantic Killer is kind of a play on words as well. So whether she's trying to kill the romance here, but there's a secondary play on words in the story as well. So it gets quite interesting.
Yeah, this was a Netflix one, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
How did you find, like, did it all drop at once or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it did.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, check it out because it's quite funny.
really good.
Apparently, it's also it goes quite deep into like some of the stuff around like mental health as well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
gender identification and
Yeah.
sexual orientation, I believe as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's got stalkers in it as well.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a very primary thing for both men and women, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's very much talked about when it comes to men that get stalked by women, because I think especially like in Japan, but also elsewhere, it's like, oh, a woman's stalking you, that's like awesome, she's like in love with you.
Yeah,
but like
you're
it can be
lucky.
really
Yeah,
creepy.
but
You're like,
Aaron's just
this
sitting there nodding,
person.
going, "It's like you haven't seen enough of the Under A games that we've seen, have you?"
No, there's just Aaron's lived a very interesting life. That's what I'll say on it. Also, Kyle, you're the only one wearing sleeves. I've just noticed.
I am the only one wearing
yeah, what the
sleeves.
heck?
Nerd sleeves are for nerds.
Shut up, Dream Daddy. Okay, Raven of the Inner Palace, Kiralee. I completely missed this.
Yeah, so it's like the Chinese sort of
Like regal sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing?
yeah, and like the inner palaces, and how there's one consort who doesn't need to tend to the king's needs because she's has this special spirit power that's been like passed down, and so this new prince came in and then just sort of happened upon her and knew that she could help him with all these problems to do with the palace and like the ghost problems, and that she can send spirits like over, like pass them over. And so it's her just kind of, I suppose, going about that business and letting the spirits move on, and like the spirits and their different like issues, and you know, them being poisoned, and then them having unfinished business with their like lover or something like that. And it's just really sweet, but it's also like her getting into a relationship with the new king as well. And so that was really sweet. It's just like a nice story.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
A bit different as well.
Yeah, well, we don't really get a lot of like Chinese focused centric
Yeah.
animes anymore. So,
Actually, I think we've gotten a fair few this year.
I was about to say, weren't we just
yeah.
talking about Kyome?
well, I mean, that's still set in Japan though.
But like we've had a lot more to do with like Chinese lore and things like that
Yeah,
as well.
we
I
have
think.
actually,
Yeah.
haven't we? Yeah. Shadow's House Season 2.
Yeah.
Now, Shadow's House Season 1 was exceptional. That was spooky and good stuff. And Emma also agreed that, that was an outstander for this year. What was good about Season 2 compared to Season 1?
So it just sort of explained a little bit more about the house and the different details on the house and what happens when you become an adult, and the process to become an adult. And so it's
a bit
just-
spooky.
yeah,
bit
it was
creepy.
really good. Like not as creepy, I think, as the first one.
Yeah.
But it's still really good, and it leaves even more questions then going forward of what's going to happen in the third. So I'm very excited to see where it goes from here.
And for those who aren't aware of what Shadow's House is, it's a story about a massive house where there are shadows made out of like soot sort of stuff, to be vague. And then they also have a counterpart who's what appears to be a doll, which is a human type being who is there to be their servant / assistant. And there's a question about what their role is and how the connection between the two are, because they're kind of like the shadow is the shadow, looks like the shadow of the person, so they have the same form and shape as them. So it's pretty spooky. You're sitting there going, is that like, is the doll like a dead person? Is it,
It's like
this?
so
Is it-
hard to explain
Yeah.
it without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hard. 'Cause you just want to be like,
There's-
watch it, it's good.
There's politics, there's mystery, there's intrigue, and there's violence. It's good.
What more could you want?
Romance! No, funnily enough, I actually don't think I've got any romance on my list. Oh, I've got one. You also like Spy X Family, which we've touched on. Blue Lock, you're not a sports anime person,
No,
Caroline.
I really hate sports anime. But this one's, I heard on the grapevine that it was good anime, so I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And it's really good. It's not like a typical sports anime, which is why it's good. It like actually gets you interested in like
The individual characters.
yeah, and into like just the soccer in general. Like you'll be watching them play soccer and not play soccer at the same time.
Yeah.
Play mind
That-
games.
Yeah. And they're like on this. They're basically kept in this facility to become the best striker.
Yeah. It's like basically
Battle to the death.
selectively choosing and powering up the next lead striker for Japan. And then at the same time, Japan started doing really well in the World Cup, which was hilarious because everyone's like, Blue Lock comes out and Japan starts doing good at the World Cup. It's like, is Blue Lock a documentary?
And it's like, people get kicked out, but they call it locked off.
Oh.
And,
So that's the lock, Blue Lock.
Yeah. And like the first one was a game of tag. A game of tag, and then the person who lost got locked off.
Oh. Okay.
That's pretty cool, actually. I've been meaning to watch it. It's sitting there, and it's just with everything else we've had. And your final one, because you didn't grab a film this year because you just didn't have a chance to see any, but you had The Girl from the Other Side, which I think I
Yeah.
must have missed completely.
Yeah, I think it was last season. It's just 3 parts. And it's done in a really like odd animation. It's not really what I would call like it's animation, but it's not like anime style. It's kind of like
Wow, it's like almost storybook-esque.
yes, yeah, and it's very like sketchy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like
beautiful.
I think I saw the trailer for this as well.
it's really beautiful. It's
looks
just a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
About like this man kind of who has the sickness and then who finds this little girl and then their story together of him trying to find a settlement for her, and then you know, they end up finding out that she has got the sickness, and then you find out that the sickness, spoilers, causes people to turn into trees. And so you see like this forest and you see all these clothes hanging on the trees, and then you learn that it is people.
I have some fun facts for you. You have picked a film. They just released it to the West
really?
in 3 parts.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it was animated by Wit Studios. It was a 70-minute feature that came out in March, but when it got an international release, they split it into 3 for some reason.
Oh, well.
There's also
there you
a OAD, so original animation DVD, which was 10 minutes, released in 2019, also by Wit Studios. So yeah, it's
It's just beautiful.
it's stunning. I'm pretty jelly. I'm gonna have to. That's on my list now. It's on the list. It made the list.
Like it's a bit slow, but it's just beautiful.
We'll go through Emma's because there's a bit of overlap here. Actually, no, we'll come back to Emma's at the end because there's a lot of overlap with everyone. So I'll do me, and then we'll go to Tifa.
We'll have some Kyle time.
That's some quality Kyle time. So cyberpunk edgerunners, yes, we've talked about that. The other one I had was Call of the Night.
Oh yes, you said you really liked that.
Oh,
one.
I adored that.
Yeah.
So it's by the same guy who created Dagashi Kashi, the candy one. And the characters have a lot of similar looks. And realistically, it's the same characters' faces, but slightly made more vampire-y. Basically, it's about a guy who he completely withdraws and becomes sort of hikikomori, but hikikomori only in the sense that he will not leave the house during the day. He just goes out at night, and he doesn't want to actually see anyone. So he just starts roaming the street at night and meets a vampire. And then he decides he wants to become a vampire because kids these days.
Do you not remember
Twilight? Man, do you not...
Aaron?
I was going to say,
are you okay?
do you not remember Underworld?
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
Flashbacks.
So yeah, it's a common trope. But he wants to become a vampire, but the only way to become a vampire, like vampires can feed on you, and it's got a good without turning you. It's got a good element of comedy to it because, like, you know, he hangs out with this girl, go back to her apartment, and she's like, "I'll make you sleep," and you know, they lie down. There's nothing sort of like lewd about it in that way, but you know, and then she bites him, expecting him to be asleep, but he just feigns to be asleep. He's like, "What was that?" And she's like, "What was what?" And he's like, "You just bit me, didn't you?" And she's like, "No, what are you talking about?" He's like, "You got blood trickling down your mouth." And that's how he finds out she's a vampire. But it turns out to become a vampire, you have to fall in love with the vampire, and the vampire has to fall in love with you. And the vampire in this case, she's not the type to fall in love, and part of the reason he's been ostracized at school is a girl asked him out, a fairly popular girl, and because he's not romantically inclined, he might have been ace, we're not sure. It's a lot of this stuff is sort of discussed in the series about, you know, youthful romance and understanding what your interests are. You know, he says no to this popular girl, and then because of that, all of her friends decide to spread rumors about him and bully him, and therefore he doesn't want to go to school because he feels like, you know, he's lost his place there and that he's not welcome. So yeah, that's kind of the crux of it. And there are other characters introduced, and there's a lot of fun to it. But it's got a lot of heart to it, just like Dagashi Kashi did, but Dagashi Kashi absolutely stacked its ending. So it took...
Yep.
It was well dragged. I mean, just the manga. The manga was dragged out and out and out. I mean, it was just like, it needed to end like 50 chapters ago, and you've run out of candy to talk about. You're now talking about like cakes. Like, you're like, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's cool. I'm interested in being introduced to all those things, but like, this plot this romance plot and what's going to happen to Coconuts needed to be resolved, and it wasn't until like the last minute. And even then, it didn't feel like because it took so long, it didn't feel like a good resolution.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, Call of the Night, worth a check out. Kaguya-Sama Love is War Season 3. Oh my god. Actually, yes, I do have a couple of romance on here, actually.
This one isn't a surprise at all.
It's not a surprise at all, but like, I'm not the only one who like Kaguya-Sama. Like, Kenny adores it, Tifa adores it.
I just haven't seen the new season yet.
You haven't? Oh my god, you're missing out.
I know, and I've heard it's the best one. And,
It is.
Yeah.
The animation goes... Oh, actually, on that note, going back to Bocchi the Rock, like the animation of Bocchi the Rock is hilarious. So we'll come to that because that's also on my list. But yeah, Kaguya-Sama Season 3 takes you up to it's the confession arc, and it's so like it was beautifully done in the manga, and they did an even better job in the anime of getting that point across and getting to that event. It's just like you can feel it coming the whole season. You're ready for it. And you're just like, when's it going to happen? Something's going to happen. And it's great. The manga just ended as well. And
Yeah, no.
you've just finished it, haven't you?
I haven't actually read the last couple of chapters yet. I just like kind of like holding out on some of the things that I know are ending.
I know, right?
I don't really want this to end. Yeah,
But you can always relive it.
I know I can. I know.
Actually, some of the final chapters of Kaguya-Sama's manga are great because they're like, here's what happened to all the other characters before we go on to what happens to the main characters.
Yeah,
And the one for Chica is a complete like red herring.
Yeah.
It's like this could happen, but it didn't. It's like Chica's like talking about getting into like a relationship and like that, and everyone's looking at her like
You would never know.
and it's just like no, she's just trolling
I love
everyone.
Chica.
She's great. But yeah, Kaguya-Sama Season 3, if you like romance, rom-com, school romance, this is the epitome, and it's by A1 Pictures, which means it's Sony, which means it has just got so much funding behind it. So yeah, definitely fantastic. Kaguya-Sama's dub, exceptional. It continues being exceptional. So it's really well done. Bocchi the Rock was one of my others, and because it was also A1 Pictures, and I didn't realize that until like 3/4 of the way through. And they keep doing random animation to show Bocchi's anxiety. So like her freezing up, or like literally like her friends around her are seeing her like disintegrate, like fade away, like as if she's had the snap from like and they're like, no, someone get a dustpan and brush. And you're like, what is?
I love the moments of like what's going on in her brain and stuff, and they made like a little Bocchi figure that's going through the game of life on a board game thing and all that kind of stuff. It's so fun.
It was just great. So look, if you like music, and summertime rendering. I don't know. I think it's only just come out in the US on Hulu.
Yeah. I think it's actually coming out episode by episode. They haven't dropped it all.
Oh, that's awful.
In
Is it
America.
dubbed though?
I think they have the dub as well.
That'll be why, yeah. Okay, that's fair. So summertime rendering is a time loop sci-fi. It's an island where a monster of some form has created shadows of people, so that these shadows then try and take the place of the person on the island. And the main character somehow manages to be able to loop in time when he dies. So it's a death loop. But every time he comes back, it's a little further forward in time from when he last started. So like, I think the first one's like half an hour after he had the initial loop, which he doesn't realize he had. And then you're like, oh, okay, so from here, things can't change. And it does do a little bit perviness, especially with one of the girls who you see her panties multiple times at the start when she stacks it off her bike, but it's used... There's a reason for it. It's something that is memorable and makes you go, whoa, which makes you realize it's a loop. Whereas the other stuff that happens isn't memorable enough to make you realize it's a loop. Because it's shown from a different angle. Like, they didn't reuse the scene like they did in like Harui and Endless 8. They didn't do that. It's from different angles every time.
Oh, okay.
So to make it seem like it's still a different episode, and they've animated it again, but they've then reused specific shots to show the looping parts, like the thing that is the constant between them. So it was really well done, and it took quite a while to get to the end, and you get about halfway through and you know who the villain is because it's 24 episodes. But how they're going to resolve it, you're sitting there going, how the heck is this going to... Yeah, it's great. But he's going back to the island because one of his friends has died. and I guess you could say she was his romantic interest, if you will. It's. I don't want to give too much away because it's just so well done, and there's so much intrigue and mystery, and it's great. It's great. I can highly recommend it. Like if you liked Erased, I think it's Erased but on steroids. Or if you liked what were the boys? They've got a new one coming out. Christmas War arc.
Oh, Tokyo Revengers.
Tokyo Revengers.
Yeah.
I think this
The
is
boys?
yeah, not superheroes. Sorry,
Boys in at Christmas, and I was like,
the boys did a Christmas special on Amazon. No, but yeah, so that's my 5: Cyberpunk, Call the Night, Kaguya, Bocchi, and Summertime Rendering because I loved all of them. Yeah, Diva. Hi. You had a lot of interesting ones.
did I?
Yeah.
I feel like mine were not that interesting.
I disagree. Just because they're popular doesn't mean they're not interesting.
Yes.
So Chainsaw Man
Yes.
was good.
Wait, am I the only one that has Chainsaw Man on that
you are
list?
the only one who has Chainsaw Man on your list.
I enjoyed it, but I didn't put it on my
It was
list.
almost not on my list. It was like
well,
at the
actually,
bottom of my list.
you're not
so-
the
okay.
only one. Emma also has it on her list.
Interesting. Yes.
But yeah, you were reading the manga for Chainsaw Man before.
I am like obsessed with the manga. Like I'm obsessed. Like you have no idea. I've never been this obsessed with something in like since I was 10 years old. Like
Wow.
I'm genuinely not. So like we're in part 2 of Chainsaw Man, the manga.
Mm-hmm.
After part 1, that like whole part I think is just so brilliantly done
Mm-hmm.
that I think the rest of Chainsaw Man could potentially suck.
Oh.
Like I think the rest of it could just be terrible. It
Wow.
could potentially be better. I don't know. I can see where they might go with it, but
And
yeah.
just for clarification, part 1 of the manga isn't what season 1 was. That'd be
No.
like 4 seasons worth at least.
yeah. So it's the public safety arc.
Yeah,
is
that
what
we're
it
in at the
is. So
moment.
it's like their time with the gun devil, basically.
Yeah.
Because in season 1 of Chainsaw Man, the anime, we get introduced to the fact that there is a gun devil who has I don't think this is really a spoiler, but has killed Aki's family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
that's
like
his-
yeah. So it's like his whole revenge story plot, basically, and that's what the whole public sector is trying to do. Is they're trying to get little pieces of the gun devil to attempt to find them and eradicate it, because how devils work in Chainsaw Man is if you're scared of something, it becomes a devil, and the more scared you are of something, the bigger the devil becomes. And something like guns is terrifying for a lot of people, and they speak about how it was like such a big problem in America. So
Yeah.
And then, like, the gun devil purposefully went out and made more people scared of it so that it
Yes.
could grow even stronger.
yes, yeah. And it's quite interesting, and obviously like so Denji becomes Chainsaw Man, and
I mean,
so
chainsaws are pretty scary. if
chainsaws are pretty
you're not
scary,
controlling them.
but you can also see how like the gun devil would be so much bigger of a threat than the Chainsaw Man, you know. And it's it's really interesting, and I did enjoy the anime. This part of the manga I also just thought was kind of boring. It's not my favorite part, but
By
it is
comparison,
it
wow.
is an introductory part to it. So like I kind of felt the same way in the anime, but I thought they did specific parts of it, which I will not say because they are spoilers, but specific things that they did within the anime I thought were really well done, and specific characters like Kobeni as well. I did not care about her at all in the manga, but I thought she was really well done in the anime because they give her more life, right? So
She becomes a more
of-
interesting character, a
Yeah.
more notable character.
yeah, and it's on my list because of the way that certain things that or certain characters and their story arcs I did not care about in the manga. I just like skipped over it basically in
Yeah.
my head and don't remember it because so much other stuff happens.
Yeah.
In the anime, I think they did it those parts so well that they became the most memorable parts of
Yeah.
the season. So
I mean, and this is something also worth noting. Like, this Chainsaw Man is one of like the new sort of. It's not a big 3. Like, there will never be another big 3, despite what people on the internet want to believe. But this is part of the new generation of sort of dark shonen.
yes, yeah. The
and
Dark Trio, as they're called.
Yeah, and these are series where people actually die.
Yeah.
Like they don't come back. They don't get magical reincarnations or anything. They're dead.
The
Those characters
that
are
you
gone.
genuinely
There's no
see
more
die,
Krillins.
they're
There's
dead.
no more Krillins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that seems to be the trend towards it, because it was Chainsaw
really
Man,
interesting.
Jujutsu Kaisen, and
Hell's Paradise,
Hell's
which also
Paradise.
comes out this year.
Yeah. So look, they're all really strong, and it's a new dark generation of shonen, which I think is going to be interesting to see what new ones follow in their footsteps in the coming years.
Yeah.
Because this is really kind of setting a different tone and direction for what we're seeing for young adult.
That being said, I haven't read Hell's Paradise, but I think Jujutsu Kaisen is the most like normal shonen.
Yeah.
Like the previous ones, I feel like not as many people die in that, but I think Chainsaw Man is like Death Note, but with the characters you love.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that will be.
I opened up the Shonen Jump app and I read the most recent chapter of Chainsaw Man. I haven't read any of the
Were you
others.
like, who are these people? What is happening?
Well, no, mostly featured around Denji.
Oh, yeah.
But
oh, okay,
there was some stuff
interesting.
mentioned where he was like, "Oh yeah, this person's no longer around," and I was like,
What? Yeah.
"You know what I'm talking about."
I know what you're talking about. But like the thing is, some of these characters that die, the things that follow the deaths of these characters, I literally was sitting there and I was like, huh? Like what? Like
Yeah.
I've never had such a like visceral reaction to a manga in a
Yeah.
very long time. I was like literally trying not to scream.
Well, the creator's quite unique.
Oh yes.
That's the nicest way to put it.
But yeah, this is like just the beginning of the story. You guys have no idea. If you think as well, if you've seen Chainsaw Man and you think that, oh man, the death of that character was pretty sad, that's
nothing.
That is nothing.
Yeah.
Like I was upset that the lady went.
Yes, I know, that's
A lot of people online were really like either
I
hated
think-
her or really were sad that she went.
I think they did such a beautiful job with it in the
Yeah.
anime.
They
like,
set her
honestly.
up as such a good character.
They did.
And you were like, yes, I can't wait to see how this goes.
No, but like, there was also like, when I watched that episode as well, I was like, yeah, this is really well done. I didn't cry or anything, but then I watched so each end credits has a different song and a different
Yeah.
animation, and within
Yeah.
that animation, they had Aki visiting her grave and leaving a cigarette there as well, which was
Yeah.
really like
Sorry for the spoiler on
sentimental.
that,
Yeah,
but
sorry.
she dies within an episode of being introduced. So yeah.
Yeah, so if you
Yeah.
know who it is, you know it's
Yeah,
done.
it was really sentimental, and that made me cry because that's not in the manga or anything. It was like completely unique to that, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did
it's
a really
really-
good job with the outro sequences on Chainsaw
so
Man.
good.
Like,
yeah.
it's very rare that we see a series where the outro sequences are all good.
Yeah.
Like when they do multiple. Like, I think the only other one I can think of that's done it and was successful was Listeners, and that's not very well rated among people. But I adore that series.
Yeah, Listeners was good.
It was great. You also had Romantic Killer Tifa, which we've
did.
touched on, but let's go on to your favorite. Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War, baby.
It was so good. It was so good. I also think what made it really good in comparison to this point in the manga as well. I'm sorry, I read a lot of manga, so I will always
Yeah.
compare
it's
the
fine.
anime and the manga. Is that there are a lot of fun things that happen in the manga, like really silly elements and stuff like that. But Kubo, who wrote Bleach, is also one of the producers and gets the sign off on every single episode.
Oh, that's good.
So like full on, completely like involved. And so those scenes, a lot of them were cut completely. Although like some of them, like Rukia's butt is supposed to show in like one of the like onsen scenes and stuff like that, was cut out of it, and people were upset by that. It ruins the pacing of
Yeah.
the way that they've done the story in the anime. And I think the scenes that they've cut, and even though it's not as funny for most of the elements, it is supposed to be the blood war. It's supposed to be a war arc.
Yeah.
And the way they've done that is really good. The way they've cut it out, and every episode feels like a movie. So
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah. See, I haven't watched Bleach at all.
Oh, wow.
I've never ended up watching it, and I think I will probably just read the manga.
Just read them.
And then get up to 1,000-Year Blood War and then watch it from
1,000-Year
there.
Blood War, I think their animation quality is so much better than a lot of things
Oh,
that I've
yeah.
seen as well, and the fight sequences are just beautiful.
I also heard as well, like compared to even the original series,
Yeah.
the characters are more accurate to the manga. Like
Yeah, definitely.
both design-wise and behaviorally. Whereas my understanding is that the original series, because it was very shonen, it was meant to be a weekly shonen like Naruto and so on. It was a lot more comedic than it should have been.
Yes, and it was a lot more comedic than the author would have wanted it to be as well, because that wasn't kind of the plan, I guess.
Yeah.
And a lot of things got extended that didn't need to be, and they knew it didn't need to be. So basically, he's cut out everything he felt was unnecessary to the story when he originally wrote it. So.
Well, what happened with it was there was a lot of artistic liberties taken by the anime team where they're like,
Yeah,
oh, we put this
yeah.
character in the filler. Let's see how they'd continue to react to the rest of the
know.
story. And it's like, no.
They don't need to
Even
be
with
in there.
Yeah, even with the manga in general, it should have been something like, so for example, Jujutsu Kaisen is going to finish in the next year or 2 years. Like
Yeah.
it's almost done, apparently. And Bleach was not supposed to be a really long running series like Naruto or One Piece. It was supposed to be a lot shorter. That's what was originally intended, but it kept being pushed and pushed and pushed because
Shonen Jump wanted
Yeah.
it to be a long running series because that was
Yeah.
their hallmark.
Yeah, so-
But look, it sounds good. It's on Disney
so
Plus
good, yeah.
worldwide, I think. And yeah, the other two on your list we have touched on. Oh, sorry, Aaron.
Oh, I was just going to say, I saw a really funny Bleach meme the other day, and it was like a picture of Aizen, and it was like this long text post about his bunkai.
Yeah.
And then it had a picture of Renji going, haha, bunkai go stretch.
Yeah. Also, can I just say, Renji looks so much better in Thousand Year
Oh
Blood War.
my
He
God.
looks so stupid in the original, and then in Thousand Year Blood War, I'm like,
Glow
that is
up.
a man.
Like, oh, damn. That,
Yeah. We talking like the difference between Usopp before time jump and after sort
Yeah,
of thing?
kind of.
No,
but like
no,
better.
that's like 1/10 of this.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I was like, do I like Renji now? Like,
Oh, I don't-
Welcome to the team.
that's what everyone else was saying too. I was like, ooh.
Your other two were Spike's Family and My Dress Up Darling, which we
Yes.
have touched on.
Yes.
But they were both magnificent as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Spike's Family manga, do you think that's got better pacing than the anime series?
I think it does because you kind of read it at your own pace, if that makes sense. If you kind of think that something's boring, I find that you kind of like skip through it a lot faster, whereas you have to sit and watch the whole thing in the anime, if that makes sense. Also, like obviously the pages are a lot shorter. They shortly like go through the story. Like for example, in Spy Family Part 2, they have a story about this like random kid that like his dad is like going bankrupt or something like that, and it's because he thinks that his dad's going bankrupt because the Desmond family has bought out this property, but actually like they're giving him money, like they've saved his like dad, and
that
he's,
was an
like,
episode in season
it was a
2.
full episode, but like in the manga it's just a couple of pages.
Oh my god.
So it didn't need to be like a full episode. It could have just been something in passing.
To be honest, though, I did kind of find that episode highly entertaining.
It is entertaining.
It should have
but
only been a half episode, though.
Yeah. I
can't remember
think
if
it
it
is a
was.
half episode.
Yeah.
It should be a quarter of an
Yeah,
episode.
it did feel like it kind of dragged on a bit long.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the last ones we've got to go over are Emma's picks, and we have covered 3 of them already. So she's also on Spike's Family and Dress Up Darling, and Chainsaw Man as well. But she had In the World of Leedale,
Yes.
Oh, yes.
which was adorable. So it is a pseudo isekai
VR
MMO.
RPG.
Basically, the girl who's the main character was in hospital, very much akin to like the girl in Sword Art Online, who was like almost vegetative state, but was able to play online before dying. Seems like she's died while in the game and then woken up in the game, but it's been a couple of 100 years since the game servers would have gone down, basically. And then you start throughout the series, you start seeing more and more people pop up who are like, wait, you were a real person as well. I thought I was alone here. And there's other people
Interesting.
who are in the game. It's not a game anymore. They're stuck there. It's the real world for them. And it's like, have all these people died? What's going on? But yeah, it's really cute. It's slice of life, but there are action sequences in it which are really good fun. And
She's stupid overpowered.
she's
though.
stupidly overpowered.
Oh,
But that,
really?
I mean, that checks out. She was like one of the top 5 players on the server, sort of thing.
Okay.
So it's sort of like Bo Fury, sort of thing, but like a bit dark undertone underneath the whole thing. And they do keep finding more and more people to sort of like recruit to the village that she's decided is her home. And she also has kids. Now,
Yes.
now let me clarify this. This is not like she, in the
Had
game
kids.
had kids. You can create characters to adopt in the game,
Aw, that's
so that
kinda
they
cute.
can think of it sort of like Final Fantasy 14 having like your like the little people you send out to do jobs and missions for you, or like World of Warcraft. What was it?
Oh, the companions thing.
The companions things where you could send them on missions to get you stuff. Same sort of thing. Except that in this world, because they're her kids, they're overpowered as well. So they've become like the leader of the religion. There's two elves and a dwarf. And the two elves have become a leader of a religion and a leader of a magic school. And then the dwarf son is like the head of the best shipping company. And she just treats him so cute. It's so good.
They're still her babies.
Yeah. And even though he's like a full-grown man, but he's a dwarf because he's short, and everyone at the shipping yard is like, it's
And he's like, I will have your ass.
and they're like, okay, I'm sorry.
I love that dynamic.
But yeah, it's so adorable. She's clearly trying to find out what's happening in the world, and there's these towers around the world, but they're not necessarily like towers into the sky. It's a term used for locations of great power where the guild she was in before stored artifacts, and she's gone and restarting these things to try and learn what has happened in the past. We don't get to learn all of that in the first season. I think season 2 would actually she'd hit all 12 towers by the end of that, just based on the pacing of season 1. But it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of comedy moments. It does a lot of that sort of like, really good animation. And then, when something really awkward happens, like just going to that flat sort of weird art style, just to be like, everyone's like, what? It's good fun. I really enjoyed it.
In the very beginning when she's talking to that kid and she's like, oh, you're one of those people. She's like, if you tell anyone, here's this ring, I will find you. I will kill you.
It's like, the dark, like, oh, okay. So yeah, it's fantastic. I can't wait for a second season. I really should start reading the manga because I can't wait. But yeah, and Emma's other pick outside of Chainsaw Man, Dress Up Darling, and Spike's Family was Demon Slayer.
Oh, yes.
Because part 2 of Demon Slayer technically bridged over into the year because it started like mid-December. It was so good.
That part that crossed over into January, that was the best part.
It was so good, and we couldn't include it in last year's awards because it crossed over. We did mention it in passing, but we didn't give it anything. And Demon Slayer's UFO table, the animation's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the best fight sequences. That final fight sequence was one of the best ones of the year, I think.
You just love your girl.
I do.
Calling you out.
I mean, all the other seasons are going to pale in comparison because it doesn't have Darky
Nezuko or
in it.
Demon Lady?
Demon Lady.
Demon Lady.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. But yeah, it was... Look, Demon Slayer's good. We know this. And we're going to be getting more Demon Slayer this year. In this quarter in particular, there is a special coming out to cinemas where it's going to have those final 2 or 3 episodes, which is the final fight from the last season.
The best part.
And the first 1 hour special for season 1. Season
the
3.
Swordsmith arc.
Swordsmith arc.
Yeah.
Now, that's apparently going to have additional footage that is not going to be shown in the TV show. So it might be actually worth going to the cinema for this one. I mean, look, it'll be good anyway, and it'll be a nice
I think
experience.
it'd be really good if you
surrounded
go
by
with a bunch
everyone.
of friends. Like,
It'll be good regardless.
Yeah.
I've read the manga. It's
great.
Yes.
So yeah, look, that definitely a reason Demon Slayer is still like in the discussion. But yeah, also for those who aren't aware, Demon Slayer manga's done. It's finished.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's been finished for a while.
Yeah.
So like if you cannot wait and then want to read the whole thing and then come back and watch it on the big screen and relive those moments in beautiful, glorious HD. Yeah, it's a good experience. Like Aaron, you've read the whole thing.
Yes,
So
do it. It's worth it because then also you don't have to deal with, this happens.
yeah, you don't get spoiled that way. I guess.
Spoilers are everywhere these days.
Oh
It's
my God.
ridiculous.
It's really bad the amount of spoilers that are out and about at the moment.
But definitely read the manga and then watch the anime as well because the fights are just so
good,
beautiful.
yeah.
Oh.
But the story itself is so good. Like I remember I watched the movie in the cinemas and then I was like, I can't stop here.
Yeah.
And then I
that's
just
fair.
read the entire manga and I was like, it's good. It's genuinely.
It has a time jump later on in it, doesn't it? Is that right? No.
I didn't think.
I know what you're thinking
I
about.
don't think it's quite
I
a
haven't
time
read
jump.
it, so
The ending where it shows
Oh, so it
the
shows the
modern.
gears on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
have you read it all as
Yeah.
well, Tiff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I'm wrong
After-
without the context.
Yeah. After the last season,
it's hard to say without
Yeah.
spoiling. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, that's
the
fine.
part it's regarding isn't important,
Yeah.
but it's still like a little reward at the end of the.
Okay, so there's a
little
reward
treat.
at the end, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, look, I think that's good. So look, we've got 2 more things to talk about. The movies.
Yes.
So we only have 2 movies on this list between all of us,
It's quite
Which
funny.
is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
which is the Dragon Ball Super superhero film,
Oh yeah.
which was fantastic and had no right being so good considering it was CG animated.
And like, it wasn't even Goku and Vegeta like all the other movies were.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it better. In
I
all
think makes it a
honesty.
lot better.
Because we have seen
Yeah.
so much of them. It's like, yeah, okay, they can do everything. Cool for them.
Yeah. You want to see other people
That's a
stepping
good
up.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Like-
that was great. We got to see like what technically was Piccolo's thing. It
He
was
just said it's Orange Piccolo.
Orange Piccolo. Yeah.
That's he like, because Gohan's like, oh, what are you gonna call this? It's like, oh, it's just Orange Piccolo.
Orange Piccolo.
Orange
Orange
Piccolo.
Piccolo.
Orange Piccolo.
Well, because it's the same color as the Dragon Balls, which is what Shenron did.
Yeah, this is true. And he has a star on his back, doesn't he?
Yeah, just like the Dragon Balls.
like the Dragon Balls, So it should be Shenron Piccolo.
Eh.
Nah, that's not as good. Orange Piccolo sounds funnier.
Yeah.
And then, so for those who aren't aware, it's a story which focuses on Gohan and Piccolo, and Gohan's daughter gets kidnapped by the Red Ribbon Army. There are superhero type androids introduced who believe they are the heroes, but obviously it's not quite the case. So yeah, it's a really interesting story arc, and the androids are actually exceptionally good characters.
And the true villain is so beautiful.
The true villain is magnificent. And then there's also Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which was so good. Like, for a prequel film.
Check out our video on it.
Yeah, because we got to see it early thanks to Crunchyroll. So, yeah, it was exceptional, and I can
so good.
highly recommend it. It was just so good. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, if you've seen Jujutsu Kaisen, it gives a lot of background information to what is happening before the series gets underway, and also what's going to happen in the future. So for the upcoming series. Is that this year? Season
Should
2?
be.
It should be. Yep. Oh, Tifa's excited.
Yes.
Cool. So yeah.
Okay, so who's your boy from Jujutsu Kaisen? Who's the...
Sukuna.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you can tell.
Oh.
Oh yeah. So
Okay.
you do like those villainous boys.
Yeah.
You
The
also like
arrogant-
Gaara.
If they have red flags, then
If they got
it's
red,
my boy.
man, I don't have anything like sting wise to say no. I mean, actually, no, I do.
Consuelo?
I do have Consuelo. Oh, there is always like just the. I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
Before we get on to the final list of the ones we've got, we do need to talk about, and I think we'll fairly be able to agree on most of these, the worst of the year. Now, we don't often talk negatively on this podcast, but sometimes you do have to throw shade.
Unless it's Avatar.
Unless
And
it's
then
Avatar.
Kyle's...
So, look, the worst CG of the year, which is what we have dubbed the X-Arm Award for worst CG. And the way this works is whoever wins the award is named after them the following year. So last year, X-Arm won over, and they are our carryover champion or loser in this case. So you've got X-Arm, which was pretty awfully animated. It was buggy. It was kind of like cold, dead eyes of a killer. It just...
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. It's probably one of the worst animes we've
It will
ever
hurt
seen.
your eyes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this year's CG was kind of good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially, like, you just look at how good Trigun looks.
Yeah, that does look
Oh.
really
This
like
season.
they did it really well.
It shows you how far these studios are coming with their CG.
But also, if you look at Bocchi the Rock, they use
Yeah.
CGI in their guitar playing scenes, and it actually is quite seamless for the most part. And the same with Chainsaw Man. In the first 3 episodes, they use CG.
Yeah. They did get a lot of grief for using CG in Chainsaw Man at the start, but it wasn't
It's
that
only the
noticeable.
first episode where it's the most noticeable, but that's because they have like 5,000 zombies.
Yeah, like, a bit hard
Hand
to
animating,
draw
that would be, yeah.
Yeah.
But the other episodes where they do use CG,
You can't tell.
You can't really tell, and then after the 3rd episode, they don't use it again, really. And Mappa also like released a bunch of their cell work to showcase that some of the parts that people thought was CG animated were not CG animated. It was just it's just the style.
Yeah.
Because they try to make it look seamless, right? So then the CG and the normal style kind of match.
Have to look
together.
over. Yeah, overlap a bit there. So yeah, the only ones we really could comment on from the last year that had bad CG were D4DJ, and that's not because it was bad. Like, it was stylized to be a CG anime. But when you're comparing it to everything else that was CG that year, it did look very artificial. There was Estab Life, The Great Escape, which apparently the plot for it is hilarious. But the CG is just so janky from the get-go that it's hard to look past that. And a lot of people did drop it in the first 2 episodes because of the CG and missed out on what's apparently an excellent, hilarious story. Like, fascist penguins are apparently an episode. Like, I don't know what the go is, but it's just fun, apparently.
Isn't that one of the things in Rick and Morty, like fascist teddy bears or something?
Something like that. I don't know. I don't care for Rick and Morty, so I can't be bothered. But yeah, Estab Life, Great Escape. And the other one, which was joyfully nominated by Kenny, was Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 2045 Season 2. And I do have to agree with him. While the CG did improve over Season 1, Season 2, the characters don't have shading. So their skin tones all look flat with a detailed background. The shadow on the background doesn't match the characters. So it doesn't look like they're meant to be there. It looks like it should be like a VR chat room.
I was going to say, so it's like trying to run Cyberpunk 2077 on a Nintendo Switch.
Oh, dear Lord.
To be honest, I still think that might look better than this. So yeah, and that's the 4. And I think it's pretty safe to say, because this year's CG wasn't that bad, that are we in agreement that X-Arm retains its award?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anything as bad as X-Arm in a long time.
Have you seen X-Arm?
I actually haven't. I've seen like
We
clips
should-
of it, but I haven't
okay.
actually like sat down and watched
No.
it.
No, you
Clips are all you
should.
need to say.
Clips is all you need to see.
I've seen some clips. so-
Okay, cool.
Well, look, we're just going to do a little... and the winner of Worst CG, the winner of the X-Arm Award for 2022 is X-Arm. Unsurprisingly. I haven't used this button in a while, so that kind of
I remember it
checks.
from the awards like many years ago.
Yeah.
And we had to give the drummer a Powerade. You remember that, right?
It was a really dumb joke. I loved it. The other one we need to do is the glorious Cabbage of Shame. The Cabbage of the Shame it was originally for the worst animation of the year, but this year's been good. Like, we haven't really seen a lot of bad animation. There have been moments of it, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. So this is now the worst anime of the year. And we've got a few that, like, there wasn't a lot, but there are a few that we've kind of lifted up and went, these were particularly shocking. So Skeleton Knight in Another World, because there's no... In this day and age, there is no need for a series that goes that dark for the sake of going dark with unconsensual behavior and graphically putting that in the front of, everyone when it's meant to be... It's not in the middle of the night when it aired either. So, like, that's kind of a worry. Rent-A-Girlfriend Season 2, because I hate it. With a passion of 1,000 suns, I'm allowed.
No, that was your baby.
No, Rent-A-Girlfriend, I have hated on for quite some time now for good reason. The main character is trash, and the best girl out of them all disappears from the series because she's the only one with a modicum of common sense. And she ended up getting her own spin-off manga by the author. Also, like, the author of Rent-A-Girlfriend is just creepy as hell.
Oh, God.
Can we just go back and play all the parts where you were like, oh, Rent-A-Girlfriend?
We can also go back and play all the parts where I go, Rent-A-Girlfriend. So I was
It
reading...
should just be a timeline. That's what it should be. It slowly changes.
So basically that's what happened. So the manga, like the first season of the series, you're like, okay, this is interesting. And you go, okay, so maybe 2-3 seasons. No,
A fact?
no, the printer just decided to clean itself. What the hell?
I was kind of
He was
hoping somebody
upset.
else connected to it and
Yeah, I
started
know.
printing like a message for you.
I like
Amazing.
Rent-A-Girlfriend. That's the message they're trying to
I'm sorry, we're just getting a fax in right now. It says, rent a girlfriend. We love this show. How dare you? Well, you're wrong. Look,
Is there like a contact number on this? Or,
let's just put it this way. Rent a girl.
I told you every time you bring up Rent a Girlfriend. it
Okay, can
starts
someone
going.
press the button below the green light? Because that's ridiculous. Like,
No, I dig it. I dig it.
I don't like being haunted by the printer. Like, is that not
Okay,
doing-
okay.
Hold the hold the power button down. Like, we're having some technical difficulties here, and as you
Not
can,
even-
Literally
The
every
audio
time you start
equipment.
talking about Rent a Girlfriend, it started going off though.
okay, is it? I just feel like
busy. Try again. Sorry, Kyle.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna unplug this thing.
We just gotta keep
God.
saying the cursed name again.
Cleaning.
That was
mad.
interesting.
The magic of technology. Just unplug it, and it will die.
Oh, like my grandma.
No! No! Oh, that's horrible. That's going in the preview.
All of my grandmas are still alive. All three of them. It's okay. It's okay. That was a joke. I love my grandmas.
Dead parents.
Da-da-da-da-da.
God, no. I love it. Okay, so Rent a Girlfriend stares the printer down, comes to life. Rent a Girlfriend basically spent almost 100 chapters leading up to them kissing, to then backtrack one chapter later and completely undo all of the events.
Oh, you mean like in Naruto, where Hinata confessed her love to
Oh my
Naruto,
God.
and then nothing happened for the rest of the series?
Oh, it's worse. It's
what?
worse.
At least
Keep back
Naruto and
kissing and
Hinata
they're
get
like, whoa.
together in the
Yeah,
Well,
end.
no,
yeah,
so
yeah.
they go on a family holiday, and it's like 100 chapters, and of course they drag along Mummy, the ex, who's a psychopath, and the blue-haired girl Ruka, who's meant to be his girlfriend but isn't actually his girlfriend, like because he just refuses to break it off with her, so he's trash. Yeah,
I watch it. I've watched it.
yeah, he's
I didn't mind it.
Oh look.
I like drama. I'm like, ooh, drama.
Controversy.
I didn't mind drama, but there's got to be a point where there's a payoff. Like, there's got to be some progression. And the point we're at now in the manga, we're like 200 chapters in, and we are no further forward than from the second chapter.
Oh, well.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, he's milking it for everything it's worth. And people are just going, are you serious? Like, this is the fourth chapter where they're sitting in this same spot with lots of flashbacks and nothing's being changed or said. Like, he's milking every bit of it. And do you want to know why? It's because he is in love with Mitsuha, the character he's created. And to the point that he's taken a doll of her out on a date.
Yeah, he takes photos in his like house,
He's
in the
married.
shower, in like all these different places, and he like photoshops her in, or
It's
puts the doll in
incredibly
there and posts them
uncomfortable.
on Twitter and stuff. The fact that he posts them as well for
He's
everyone
like
to see.
that
is, like, a
dude in
bit-
Japan who's married to Miku.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
incredibly uncomfortable, and it's probably to the detriment of the series. Like it was going to make the series drag on, and nothing is going to happen because he believes that he is in love with the character and no one else should have her. So the series is probably going to have a bad ending as well because of it. Because yeah, he's nuts, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a police release about something in the future just based on his behavior. It's not normal. So that's why I hate on Rent a Girlfriend.
So it was him trying to fax you then.
Yeah, it definitely was.
He's got his ears
Excuse you.
everywhere.
The other one, which was for worst of the year, was How a Realist Hero Rebuilt a Kingdom Season 2. This is nominated by Emma for very good reason. The first season is fantastic. It's kingdom building, it's story building, it's driven, it's about how things are going on. There's politics, there's intrigue, there's backstabbing.
I liked the food part.
Yeah, the food
like
guy was
food,
amazing.
yeah.
Season 2, the first half's really good, and then the second half starts to taper off a bit. They have a big war. The war's concluded, and then it turns into a harem.
I mean, in season 1, you could see the starting of the harem.
I disagree. I felt like they did a good
No.
job. Look, there were elements there, but it was the way it was portrayed seemed very much like he is going to marry the princess. And they did drop a line about the, polyamory.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he was like, no, that's not for me. And then suddenly it is for him. And it kind of unhinges the story because it's become now more about that than it has the actual kingdom building and the intrigues and the politics and the stuff like that, which was really interesting and really well done. So I can see where she's coming from.
So the hero is no longer a realist?
No, he's not. No, he's just kind of generic.
Isn't that realism in some sort of way?
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, if you take a guy to a world and go, guess what? You can have multiple girlfriends, no repercussions.
Nah.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I'm good.
But like, a lot of guys would be like, ooh, don't mind if I do.
Yeah, that's probably because I haven't got a girlfriend. No.
Yeah, true.
Prince of Death. This was... I didn't end up watching it. I just couldn't get over the art style and the animation. Kiralee, did you end up watching some of it?
Yeah, I watched a couple episodes.
What did you think?
Just the art style of it just really put me off, and the story was just
Dull?
I don't know. Yeah, just really dull and just boring. Just bleh.
Like, nothing had really happened.
No.
Like, I've got to say, like, also, like, as excited as I was for, like, that mate of mine is suspicious, it wasn't really that interesting. It wasn't bad, but it just... The whole premise of it was kind of done and dusted after 2 episodes. So you were like, cool. I just want to know the background of Lilith now. That's it. That's the only reason I watched after that. But Prince of Death, I watched 2 episodes and just like, I don't care about any of these characters. So
Yep.
All right. Well, we've got 4 here: Skeleton Knight, Rent a Girlfriend, Realist Kingdom, Realist Hero, Prince of Death. I think we can rule out Rent a Girlfriend because you did enjoy it. So I think that's fair.
I was going to say, given the rant we went on for Rent a Girlfriend,
Look,
I think that...
Look, I'm welcome to dislike something, but it doesn't mean it's the worst anime of the year by
as
Aces
well,
or Rupi.
because your I guess view of it is also influenced by the manga itself.
Exactly. It's not
so
the
like
anime
you already
itself.
know what's
it's
going to
gonna pan
happen, whereas I don't know if you've read the manga or
No.
not. No. So like you could actually, like, someone could watch the anime and think that this season's like pretty decent because they don't know what's going to happen next. So
Yeah.
we
Sorry,
have
I've
hope.
ruined it.
yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
nothing
It could
changes.
change.
So
They might change it. They might be like, oh, this guy's a bit crazy, so maybe we'll just fix up the anime for him.
yeah, I'm hoping they do that because like it's 100 chapters of this, like the Girlfriend in Paradise arc, and it's like you can't the amount of chapters they've used. That's not fitting for an anime. 24 chapters is 12 episodes typically,
Yeah.
based on a normal weekly manga. So they're going to have to squash it, and that'll probably help it. But then it depends what happens after. Like if they then rewrite the ending for him because
I think
he
it's
clearly
possible.
can't figure it out. It's also kind of like just a horrible way for a first kiss to happen as well. So, okay, but anyway, Rent a Girlfriend will knock off that list. Prince of Death, I don't think it's the worst because it was boring and weird. It just was
Yeah.
unremarkable.
They do have fans. I think there's a season 2.
Yeah, there's a
okay.
fan base.
Yeah,
There's a
there
group of
is.
people who do really like it, but
Yeah.
I just think for us it wasn't. Yeah, so that takes us down to Skeleton Knight and Realist Hero.
I think Skeleton
I
Knight
think
would
Skeleton
take it.
Knight as well.
Because Realist Hero at least had a good season 1.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas season
And
season
as you
2
said
did
as well,
drop
like
off.
the first part of season 2
was really good.
so-
Yeah, it's just like the payoff for it just felt like a little bit like phoned in after what they'd done. But yeah, I think Skeleton Knight, like I can't recommend that to anyone.
He's like a rip-off of Overlord.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the budget
oh, no.
version.
It's the budget version of Overlord stealing stuff from Goblin Slayer and making it even worse.
Yeah.
Like, I like Goblin Slayer the manga, but I wouldn't recommend it to people to watch or read because it's high impact. It's not suitable for everyone and it tackles a lot of dark things. But Skeleton Knight just used it as if it was fanfare to like go, ooh, look, this world's dark and edgy. So...
Oh, look, I saved them. Now they're enslaved to me, basically.
Yeah, it's not okay. So, it's official. The Cabbage of Shame this year goes to Skeleton Knight. I don't know why the drummer didn't stop. How dare he?
I think we gave him too much coffee.
Too much coffee.
Too much coffee.
Oh, I could go some more coffee.
Let's get some more coffee.
Let's order more
Go, go,
coffee.
go, go,
What
go,
could
go, go.
possibly go wrong? Skeleton Knight is just, it's not okay. It's not okay. And if you think it's okay, I'm sorry, but please.
See a therapist?
Stay 10 meters away at all times.
Yeah, all
I
time.
have a stick. I will poke you with it.
I'm okay.
I can't
with us
carry
then.
it. I'm only 6 inches tall.
Oh God, it's good to be back together. Now, on the film note, I think everyone will know if you've listened to the podcast this year what our selections for the worst film are, and that's comfortably Belle and One Piece Red. Like, look, they just didn't live up to the hype. If they weren't overhyped, they might have been acceptable. But I think with the hype and the massive interest, like Belle in particular got like a standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. I'm sitting there going,
That's probably because I've never seen an anime before.
exactly, yeah, like one of the
What's
longest
that
standing
about?
This
ovations.
is
I'm
so
like,
beautiful. I'm so blinded by the prettiness.
and it's like, man, you guys clearly didn't attend the year when they were showing Your Name. Like, you know, like that's stunning. But yeah, Belle just, it as a concept doesn't work if you don't understand, if you hadn't already seen Beauty and the Beast. And because Beauty and the Beast is part of our cultural norm, then we understand it. But I think if you showed that in countries that are outside of English speaking and outside of Japan, or any country that doesn't have a large English connection, they wouldn't understand it as readily.
I think I have a good way to test this.
Yeah.
Pretty sure my son hasn't seen Beauty and the Beast.
Does he know the story of Beauty and
I
the
don't
Beast?
think he
though?
does.
Okay.
He doesn't really like movies or TV shows or anything like that. He just plays video games. So we could test this.
Yeah.
Good test.
We have the means. We have our control.
Well, I wonder if it might be the opposite for someone who's never seen or known about Beauty and the Beast, and they might actually end up liking this story because it's the first time they go into it. I know that there will be like a lot of connections and stuff like that, but maybe they just see it differently instead
Yeah.
of us seeing it as kind of like a rip-off in a sense.
Well, I mean, it was meant to be a retelling of Beauty and
Yeah.
the Beast, but the issue was that it missed a lot of the important parts, and then it phoned it in using domestic violence at the end as like a, you know, this is what the whole thing was. And it's like, that's kind of lazy, and you didn't even show a resolution. It was just, I went there and confronted the dad, and that did resolve it. No, it would have resulted in the child getting in even more trouble. It's not as simple and clear cut, and it's quite concerning that it was treated that way, because you can see people taking that and going, I'm going to go save someone. And it's like, no, you actually are going to cause more problems for
Call the
them.
cops.
Yeah. So look, that's the issue with that. One Piece Red, it's just,
Okay,
it was
but
hard to watch.
Aaron's controversial opinion, everything One Piece is overhyped.
I mean, yes, I actually
Yeah.
do agree. As someone who does actually like
Read it.
One Piece,
Yeah.
I do think that it is quite overhyped as
I-
well. For me, a
really-
lot of it is nostalgia factor.
I still haven't seen the movie.
One Piece Red,
Yeah.
it's probably
haven't-
for the best.
Okay.
I haven't seen the movie, but I gave One Piece such a good crack.
Yeah.
And I tried to keep going. I tried and tried, and I could not.
I normally
okay,
just
though.
watch the movies. I haven't watched
Yeah.
the series. I just watch the movies.
The thing
That's
about
definitely the good way
yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, the thing about like One Piece Red though is that in comparison to the other One Piece movies, they all work within the same lore of One Piece. It's the same, like, you know, the devil fruits and they like, you know, stretchy Luffy and things like that. But in
Goldman.
here, there's just magic.
It's straight up magic in
Right.
Red.
And it's not explained. It's not really like, they don't really go into depth about it or anything like that. You're like, okay, this could potentially work within the story and they could do it within the limitations of One Piece, but they just decided that those don't exist anymore, and that's kind of what ruins
Yeah.
it, A, as a fan, and B, as someone who is not a fan, because you don't actually have any
Context.
of
At
like
all.
where anything's supposed to be in this, and then it's just things happen. That's what it is.
It's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just like Avatar and like Belle. It's based on the focus on the
blue
visuals.
people.
It's a focus on visuals over substance, and that's why they're getting such, you know, thing. It's because people are blown away by the visual experience. And don't get me wrong, seeing something in the cinema for the visual experience, like you do with the Avatar
And the
films,
music is quite good.
the music is quite good as well.
Like,
But it's also like there's a lot of music in there, like a lot more than you would expect
Yeah.
from an anime film.
and
Like,
from the way
e-
it was marketed as well.
Actually, I'd say One Piece Red had more music in it than Belle.
Yeah.
Like, and Belle's a
It's a full
musical.
album. It's like a
Yeah.
whole like,
Yeah, and don't be wrong, the music's great, but it's also just, it kind of feels like it derails the narrative a lot. So look, it's It's not great. It's if you see both of them, One Piece Red and Bell, in a cinema, the experience of seeing it on a big screen and being immersed in the visuals is great. But if you watch it on a small screen, which people are doing now, and you're starting to see the reviews coming out for the home video going, it's actually not that good because the story doesn't hold up without that immersive experience. And that's the problem. That's what we're, part of the thing we do when we review things. We look at the actual elements of it, and visually, yeah, fantastic. But the story doesn't stand up on its own. So that's kind of the challenge. So those are the two kind of negative picks for the year on the films. All right.
That being said, if you like One Piece and you want a musical little spin-off, whatever,
Yeah.
Django's Dance Festival.
Django's Dance
God,
Festival,
yeah.
so much better.
So good.
So good.
And great visuals as well.
Yes, yes.
The whole thing's amazing. Go watch that instead of One Piece Red.
Yes, agreed.
Alrighty. So, look, this kind of brings us to a interesting point in the thing because we need to list our best of the year, and we're going to go with our overlaps, and there's a lot of overlaps.
I wonder how long we can make him go for.
The track goes for like 5 minutes.
Oh.
So I can go to the toilet and come back.
All go to the toilet and come back.
We've been going for a while.
Taking turns, that is, not all at once.
Yeah, no, oh my god.
I mean, considering you're 6 inches, I'm sure you can fit in this.
Context. Jesus. Right. Our top series for 2022. Love After World Domination, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, Bocchi the Rocket Romantic Killer, and our number ones across the group, Dress Up Darling with 3 votes and Spike's Family with 4 votes. So, look, they are exceptional.
Yeah.
And I do realize they aren't like the big shonen-y ones. Oh, also Chainsaw Man's in there with 2 votes as well, I forgot to mention. So, yeah, I should add that to the list. So what we'll do is we will be putting up all of our individual selections on social media over the coming days, and you'll be able to see them and disagree.
Yeah, find us in the comments section. Let's go.
You'll lose because we can edit the comment section. I'm kidding. Look, everyone's got their own opinions on what was the best for the year. So let us know what your favorite anime of the year was, because there was so much to enjoy the past year, and we really struggled to actually shortlist this.
You know what I heard was a great one that unfortunately I didn't get the time to watch? The new Gundam.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I heard that was really good as well.
Which from Mercury?
Yeah.
I've heard that's phenomenal. So
that's a
good
little
point.
bonus one that none of us watched that all of us heard was great. So
also Lycoris Recoil.
Oh yeah, I forgot
as
about
well.
that.
That was,
I didn't watch it though.
I've heard that's exceptional, and I've watched the first couple and really enjoyed it. I just haven't finished it. So yeah, there's a lot to like in the past year, which is nice because after the past years of COVID, it's been really hard. It really has. Alrighty, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back very shortly.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
So we had a quick discussion and went, oh my god, it's an hour and a half. So we're going to split the episode in 2. So the next half, which will be the season preview, will be in a week's time because it's an hour and a half, man.
that was a
just
good
liked
pee
it.
break.
I was just gonna say we like to talk about anime a little too much.
Oh, is that why we're here?
Not just for the pee.
Also, like, we...
6-inch men.
Who would have thought? Also, like, it's been like 5 weeks since we've got together to talk about anime. We've just got so much to chat about. So, look, we're going to leave it there for this episode. We'll be back in a week's time with the next season preview. There's a lot to talk about in that as well, but we're going to record it now. And then in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back with Reincarnated as a Slime movie to talk about that as well, because that hits cinemas over here. So, if you've enjoyed what you heard, subscribe, likes, join us for future episodes, all the good fun stuff. YouTube channel, not much happening on there at the moment. That will change in the coming months. I'll probably be looking at 1 video a month, 1 dedicated video, once we get it back up and running properly. Links in the video episode description and all that. Patreon, subscribe, get fun stuff. $1 a month gets you extra goofy stuff from us talking for normally like an extra 30 minutes for every episode.
And sometimes we talk about Avatar and get real mad.
Yeah. So there's outtakes, video extras, and all that stuff. And yeah, that's it. Give us money. Please.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I'm only 6 inches tall. Do you know how hard it is to find a job?
Do you know how
Oh, no.
hard it is to find shoes?
Oh, no. I just get them
You
from
the
the
doll
Barbie
one.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Kyle, you act like I haven't been doing this
My
my entire
goodness.
life.
Yes, but Barbies are expensive, so if you can afford to support us and get Aaron Barbie shoes, it would be greatly appreciated.
Should we include the P.O. box here so that you can take the Barbie shoes as well?
No. Tifa's like, I'm going to post them on Instagram. Look, we've got plenty of the Kawaii-Fi socials as well, so head over to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, TikTok, sort of. I can't be bothered.
Aaron needs to do the TikTok takeover.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's it. So thank you for joining us for our look back at 2022. And this has been Kawaii-Fi Radio. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, watch some anime! I'm going to get you a Barbie car.
Ooh.
Hell yeah. I'm on the streets, lads.
Fancy.